All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us at Envision Conference 2025. I'm Jared with Network Center. Know a handful of faces out there, a couple new ones. Glad to see you guys. Part of our breakout sessions that we're doing is part of the intro is disclosing one of our new services and products on our FlexCare platform. This afternoon or this morning's one is it's called M365 Security Enablement. It's a new offering from our FlexCare, like I mentioned. It offers a quarterly scan of your M365 environment along with a quarterly meeting with one of our security engineers. From that, you'll receive a report, recommendations, clean up passwords, and all those things. Just another way for us to help manage your guys' environment. Today's presenters is the team from Verkada. Verkada has been a partner with Network Center for a little over 3 years now. Bryson and team, I'll let you guys kind of want to jump into it. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, we're excited to be here at Envision here. I didn't get put in the intro slide, so I'll give a brief background. But Verkada, so we are a physical security company, a cloud model. Today we'll just be going over some of the use cases for different deployments we see used often here and jumping into it. So I'm Nick. I cover both Dakotas on the SLED side, so schools and local governments.
And then I'm Bryson. I cover the corporate side for North and South Dakotas with the same patch. And then I'll let Sam introduce himself.
I'm Sam. I'm the solutions engineer for Bryson's team, so I help out on the technical side.
So, yep.
Awesome. And this is just an overlay of the different product suites that we have at Verkada here. So a lot of people who are familiar with Verkada, we started off more strictly as a camera company, but as we evolved as an organization, we branched out to different product lines. So a full suite of products that all integrate on the same command platform, anything from access controls for schools, a lot of intercoms for main entrances, so you know who's at the door, environmental sensors, so on and so forth. And
So all those products that we offer all integrate onto the same platform, as you can kind of see a visual right here. Everything is integrated and being able to be managed on our command platform, we call it. But there's just a good representation of what that might look like. So you have like your guest on the table there, access control on the door, alarm panel, video security, and sensors as well. And so Verkada can really get put into any building that you can think of. I mean, we range from schools, cities, manufacturing, retail, healthcare, churches, really anywhere you have a building and you have people in it or any items, you can have Verkada in our security there.
And so me working with schools, touching on it for education here, this is what a building could look like with a Verkada deployment. So it's not just video security, it's access controls for granting and denying visitors a remote lockdown capability, intercom so your person at the front desk can talk down through a speaker, see who's exactly at that front door, if they should be let in or denied entrance. Panic buttons as a third line of defense if you do need to alert authorities, as well as a guest check-in system. Something I've seen a lot of schools stray away from is like a traditional pen and paper log system where there is human error involved. People make mistakes. Maybe they write a name down wrong, or someone spills coffee on that logbook and you lose that data. So, and people like to talk about, for education specifically, security as being more of a layered approach. People like to throw the analogy of an onion around where you have your first layer of defense, your second layer, your third, and so forth. Your first layer being maybe it's video security cameras around the perimeter on the outside of your building so you can see any person of interest that you've marked down if they're on your campus there. Intercoms where you can speak down directly to the person and grant or deny access. You look past your exterior perimeter security, getting inside the building, you have your guest check-in where we can actually have your receptionist scan any IDs for a school or a courtroom and then run those against a criminal history database or a sex offender registry so you know exactly who's at the door there. For schools, we do a lot of work with vape sensors in bathrooms, both reading vape indexes and noise decibel readings in locker rooms. Maybe to prevent a fight that's breaking out, you can tag that on the monitor there. But how this all works, having a first, second, third layered proactive approach to security, it only really works on a platform that's centrally managed. So all these devices are swapping and sharing data real time, giving you fast, actionable data that you can then act on as well to make split time decisions. And some common pain points that I deal a lot with for schools or courtrooms on the municipality side. A lot of it comes from having a system from multiple vendors. So you may have cameras from one vendor in your high school, door readers from another, alarms from another as well. And this split up system, it's tough because it doesn't integrate well with your other products. So it causes more of a headache for your IT people there as they're maybe managing 3 different platforms on 3 different monitors, all on different web browsers. You know, if they need to pull up an incident that happened at your front door, they have that door incident logged by their access control, but then they have to skim through a bunch of security footage to manually match up that timestamp and figure out exactly what is going on there. And this creates more of a reactive solution rather than a proactive. You know, you're not catching people in real time doing these acts, so it leaves you with a lot of detective work and homework doing catch-up to figure out exactly what went on there. With Verkada, for example, if you had a door reader on the main entrance, paired it with a Verkada context camera, we could actually pull a door being forced open, and since it pairs and syncs directly with the context camera, you'll have that video proof at the click of a button showing you exactly what went on as well. And then for schools in specific, safety should extend further than your main campus building. There could be football fields a couple hundred yards out, or maybe a remote parking lot where students and teachers park their vehicles that don't have good coverage. And frankly, that's going to be where a lot of the incidents occur because people who do vandalize things or break in, they sort of know the areas that aren't protected well. So having a way to monitor those areas is becoming pretty crucial. So we make specific products for remote deployments as well, whether it's a cellular gateway where you can actually use your own SIM card or your own Verkada cellular SIM card plan and hook up multiple cameras to that as well, so you are still covering areas that are away from your main campus. One thing for schools in particular is remote monitoring of alarm systems after hours. So the nice thing about schools is you have a lot of staff on standby, so you have a lot of eyes coming in and out of that building, and they can almost act as your security cameras and your security throughout the day, tell you of any incidents that are occurring. But after hours, maybe you're lucky enough to have a police cruiser patrol your parking lots every couple hours throughout the night there. But to have a system that can proactively alert you even when you are off of school hours is important in this day and age. So with a Verkada, alarm system paired up with context cameras, we could set things like a motion grid on the football field to stop high school kids from drinking after hours. You can get that ping live in real time that, hey, someone has crossed over this grid onto your football field. That will send you an alert directly to your phone or your laptop or your tablet. And the nice thing is you can access any of this information remotely. It's not like you're stuck on site in your server room pulling footage. It's something you could do on vacation from the comfort of your bed on a Saturday night, so on and so forth. And then the big thing now with schools is, unfortunately, there's been an uptick in instances of people trying to get in, harm students, harm staff on standby there. So remote lockdowns have become a big part of schools' protocol in these events. And you need a way to, obviously the nice thing is schools are prioritizing this and they're putting in place, rough plans on when this happens, what should we be doing, whether it's a shelter in place or if it's, barricade the students in a classroom, lock the doors and turn the lights off. Your response is only as strong as the hardware you do have protecting you. And so remote lockdowns, so for this specifically, the good thing is we see a lot of access controls on main entrances and exits. That's protecting people from getting inside your building. But for schools in particular, a lot of classroom doors are still operating off a lock and key solution. Maybe they're older wooden doors that have been in place for 20, 30 years that aren't wired up to fit an access control onto. So we actually released a new product, our wireless locks, which differentiate from our standard access controls with the fact that they don't have to be on an electrified door. So think school classrooms, old doors that are all lock and key. You still want to be able to lock down these doors if something does go wrong inside the building there. And these will give you a lot of the similar features a standard access control will, whether it's having a custom lockdown protocol. At the click of a button, you can say, hey, I want all these doors locked in the case of an incident. And then, police are outside this door. Let's pop this door open so they can come in and assess the situation. And then lift that lock remotely when the time is up and it's safe to do so. So cool thing about these, no wired door, save your school or courtroom a lot of money on installing that electrified door. and runs off lithium batteries, which will get you 12 to 18 months of operation per door there. And then even has a heads-up LED display built into it, so you know, hey, it's blinking green, the door's open, it's blinking red, we're in a lockdown protocol, as well as a local schedule override button if staff does need to make a change on the fly to their system. And going back to that first and second line of defense analogy, so guest check-in is something that I see utilized more across schools and courtrooms, a lot on the healthcare side as well. So you want to know who's coming into your buildings and if they should be let in the first place. So this is our guest management platform. It runs off a standard iPad. And what it allows you to do is obviously you have your receptionist talking face-to-face with the person, but we can have an approved, deny, or admit list where we can say, hey, this person's a parent of a student, let's let them in the building. We scan their ID against criminal history databases or sex offender registry, so they're good to come in, as well as you can do things like, actually match up a guardian and a parent to a student. So we can unite that person at the end of the day when it is time to pick students up, make sure everyone's accounted for, and make sure that, hey, this student is with the correct parent. And it'll simply also just reduce visitor bottlenecks. Obviously, it's a lot of work to keep track of things on a pen and paper system where, you have a bunch of people coming in, one person at the front desk, and people make mistakes. They don't write things neatly, or they forget to write a date and time, and say you need that for an investigation 2 weeks later, you're out of luck. This platform will automatically log all the people who have checked in, checked out at the end of the day, so you know who's still in your building when the bell rings there. And I'm going to hand it over to Bryson to talk about Verkada for the corporate side.
Thank you, Nick. So to get into this is just a diagram to show you kind of what the healthcare facility might look like utilizing Verkada's system. It's very similar, if you might notice, as like a school setup would be. It can utilize all the same products. It just kind of gets integrated in a different way. As we can see here, we can have like a cellular gateway put on a lamppost outside to monitor parking lots. We can still utilize our guest login to log whenever patients are coming in for appointments, as well as your typical alarm systems, as most buildings will have, paired with your access control, your video security, intercoms, as well as air quality sensors. So this right here are some of the challenges that patient care teams actually face throughout their day-to-days. Currently, some of those issues that you might see or that investigations take hours to perform, and that's where our system is going to be able to cut that down, utilizing AI to be able to go back on searches. So if you have a patient that came in, maybe they weren't even a patient, they were just in the lobby area or waiting area. I see this with a lot of mental health clinics as well, where somebody might walk in that they don't know who it is. And so with this system, if you know a description of that person, so maybe they're wearing a black shirt and black pants, you can actually search our system using our AI for a person that matches that description. So that's going to, features like that will help you reduce your time of actually going back and finding the footage, rather than having to go back on, last Saturday this happened, or last Tuesday in the evening. It's like, what does that mean? You could be going back through hours of footage. Another one is that missing patients, infant abduction, or patient injuries. This is kind of a big problem as well, and if it happens, it's kind of difficult to crack down on exact times of when this occurred. Having those features of searching, such as like our people searches, are going to be a good way of being able to go back and find incidences like that. You can mark people as what we call people of interest, which is a common one that schools utilize as well. You can upload faces. You can pull a face of somebody just from a video clip that you have of them as well. You kind of have a few different ways of being able to configure that. And then here I have a couple just examples of some problems that security faces specifically. So one of the main problems they have is that there's like a lack of entryway security, and risks patient and staff's safety. With this, our solution to help secure the building and improve the safety of everybody in the building, it's being able to visually confirm the identity before granting entry, so we can have this paired with intercoms depending on what type of healthcare facility you are operating for. You can have an intercom set up at the front, so people have to click that. It's basically a 3-in-1 unit, which will work as a camera as well as an access control unit, and you can actually speak out to them as well. So if you don't want to make it face-to-face contact with them, you can kind of deny or grant access to somebody without having to have them come into the actual building. We have reliable access control, protect staff on areas that you need protection from, especially going to be like your medicine cabinets, that sort of thing. You can actually go back on each door event as well with our access control. So every time that a door is opened, you can actually see the exact person that opened it with their key card, who it was, what time, how they opened it, and it logs all of that. We also can create proactive alerts. So if you have an incident that you are on the search for, you can actually set an alert using our AI to be able to then give you a text message or an email before something major happens. So if it's just as simple as somebody that is a person of interest walking in the front door, or maybe it's somebody carrying something, or loud noises with our sensors, you can get a proactive alert based off of that. Another one that we have a cool stat on is surprisingly about 80% of nurses have experienced at least one type of workplace violence, and that was from 2023. That might be anywhere from verbal abuse, harassment, or just physical assault, with 46% seeing actually a rise in this as well. With this, solutions that we have are that staff can discreetly call for assistance with Verkada's panic button that we have. So we have some wireless panic buttons that you can place, maybe it'd be under a cabinet in a drawer, and those don't need to be wired at all, and those will be able to notify anybody that you have it go towards. You can easily share the footage as well via SMS, text, or email. So rather than having to download that onto a drive, you can actually save as many clips, as large or as small as you want, and you can send that via text message to somebody, and you can actually configure it to allow them to have access for a set amount of time, so you don't have to worry about that link being out there in the world for an unknown amount of time and not have anyone have access to it. Again, you can set people of interest, as well as we do license plates, so we call it LPOI, license plates of interest. That way, if you have a vehicle that you're looking for, you can actually get an alert when they pull into the parking lot rather than when they get out of their car. We can also use intercoms to visually confirm identity before granting entry, and so that's kind of why that unit's like a big bang for your buck, because it's going to be like a 3-in-1 unit. They have to walk straight up to that camera, click the button, it gets like an eye-level view and a photo of them. That's a pretty cool unit for this use case. So to move on to another segment that Verkada can handle security for, it's going to be manufacturing, and you can see this in any type of facility that you're looking at. So whether it be just the manufacturing facilities as a whole, the warehouses, distribution centers, corporate offices, we can be in everything. And so this is just another image to show you kind of what that might look like. Again, everything's integrated with command, but we do add one product here, which is going to be our Helix events. So you can actually pair this with all of your system to be able to pull certain events based off of different criteria, whether it be somebody falling, walking into a building. You can kind of configure it using our AI to be able to pull that footage. Another one's going to be for our warehouses and distribution centers, and so this is what that might look like as well, where you have your video security, air quality sensors, access control on all doors, guest login if they're coming in and out, same thing with everything, but this is kind of a visual to show you what that might look like. And same with corporate offices. It's kind of a repeat story throughout all of these ones, but you can have all of these devices set up on all of your buildings, and we can really configure this to any need that you're looking for. So if you have a specific use case that you might have, come talk to us today at our booth. We can definitely set up some time to meet with you and be able to configure these devices and in a way that might benefit some better than others, right? Because not all security is the same. So I do have some use cases of specific challenges that you might see operation teams have. A couple of those might be regulatory compliance and safety issues. And so whether it might be somebody wearing hard hats, PPE, vests, we can actually use our AI to be able to search for that and create proactive alerts whenever that incident occurs. So that way you can limit your risk to liability. You can make sure that your staff and employees are safe, all that jazz. As well as just your typical workplace management is a common one as well. So our cloud-based access control is key for this. You can grant access to all doors for some employees, some doors for certain ones. It doesn't have to all, one person can't have access to everything, and you can manage that from your phone, your laptop, wherever you're at. So if you go on vacation and you need to change access for somebody, you can definitely do that at a click of a button. So just the last few slides that we have for you are just examples of where our AI-powered security, will benefit different, industries. So like with manufacturing specifically, anybody that's in the security leaders category might see a use for Verkada in any of these 8 ways. So a couple of them I like are going to be perimeter intrusion detection, where we can actually have our cameras set up to certain hours of the day. If anyone's detected in a certain area, you can actually get an alert off of that, as well as like if you have automated gate security. So if you have trucks coming in and out a lot, you can actually have that gate with our access control unit be paired with license plate. So whenever it picks up the license plate, it will automatically open the door. As well as we have remote monitoring. So you can actually have a new one that we just released is that you can have our new Verkada trailers out in the deployment in a parking lot, a new job site, whatever it might be. And that is an all-in-one unit, so you don't have to connect it to anything other than that trailer itself. It's kind of the all-in-one, one-stop shop for all the security needs. Another one's going to be, health and safety leaders. So slip and fall detection is going to be a big one. Being able to go back, search for those incidences, or even get notified when it happens. One I mentioned is going to be missing PPE detection. So if somebody's not wearing the proper protective gear, you can get notified on that, as well as go back and search for any time that happened. You could even do stuff as well as like poor air quality detection with our sensors, where you can get alerts, go back on different times, see the video footage of the exact time where that threshold got exceeded, as well as like wrong direction of travel even. So we have the capability for, if you have forklifts running down different rows, you can actually detect which direction they're going, as well as the hot zones for these. So we have an overcrowding detection as well as you can help your operations side of things by having the camera monitor your area for a week or so and be able to go back and see where the hot zones are, where your guys are operating the most. And then the last one I have for you is going to be operations and quality assurance leaders. I'm not going to go through all these ones, but these are some examples that you guys can take a look at. It could be like defect traceability, going back if you have assembly lines, environmental controls with the sensors again, downtime root cause analysis, and then missing tools and assets. So not only people and vehicles this can be used for, it can be for searching for missing items, tools, that sort of thing. Damage to buildings, like vandalism for schools is where it kind of all ties in together, and that sort of thing. Is there any questions that you guys might have for us? We kind of covered a couple of the segments that Verkada covers, but we really can be in any building like I mentioned. I'll leave it open to any questions you guys might have.
We are, I know people in Dakota like steaks, so we're giving away some Omaha steaks at our booth here. So if there are any meat eaters in the room who are looking for some ribeyes, stop by our booth and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have one question, Brad. When you're the vendor sign-in, let's say we have a vendor that comes in and needs a badge access to get into a server room, or if they're here, how do you do that if they're printing the badge and the whole check-in process?
I'll take this one. So you don't actually have to print a badge for them. The badge that they get here is to identify them throughout the building. So actually, if you scan this QR code and sign in, you'll get an email or text depending on what information you provide to us. And in that text, you'll have a web unlock link to the door that we have at our demo booth. And that is how you could provide that access to vendors. You can also provide them QR codes, and our intercoms are able to scan that QR code to unlock those doors, as well as we do integrate with QR code readers. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one. We're seeing a lot of the software contained within itself. Is there different tools on the integration side with API calls and webhooks so that we could have a onboarding software program for new hires or something, get their access right into Verkada directly just through that integration?
Yeah, we can integrate with Okta and Entra and Google for skim or syncing users over. We also do SSO through Okta, Azure, Google, and a couple other providers. And then once you have that, on top of that, we do have an open API platform, which you can make a ton of calls to. to make changes within our platform, and we do have the ability to send webhooks to a separate platform if you wanted to catch them, to process information in a separate segment. And that is how Helix is going to work as well. You will use our API to send information from, let's say, your logistical software to us, and it'll pair that footage with the information you're sending to our platform.
Any other questions?
Stop by our booth. We have a little demo kit to show all the stuff we just discussed, and then enter in, win some stakes. We got some good swag and merch over there as well. But thank you guys.